Imagine stepping up to a golf ball. For 100 years, your coach only cared about what your arms were doing. They watched your club playing, they scrutinized your grip, and maybe just told you to keep your head down. But today,
Yeah, today's a totally different story.
right, exactly. If you want to take home a $1.7 million purse like we just saw this weekend, your coach isn't looking at your arms. They are looking squarely at your feet.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are unpacking a massive stack of sources.
We've got the weekend's thrilling global tournament finishes, the 2026 LIPG Golf Investment Report, the Sport Business Global Golf Report, and some really cutting-edge biomechanics schedules from the 2026 PGA Show.
Yeah, we aren't just looking at who hoisted a trophy this weekend. We are uncovering exactly why the golf industry is currently experiencing this unprecedented economic and technological golden age. Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the sheer drama we witnessed on the course.
The execution under pressure across multiple tours this weekend. I mean, it gave us a perfect snapshot of where the modern professional game sits. The skill level is frankly staggering right now.
It really is. Let's look at the PGA Tour's Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial. Russell Henley pulled off just a stunning victory, and it wasn't some comfortable Sunday cruise.
No, not at all. He was trailing Eric Cole.
Right, trailing Cole, the pressure is immense, the greens are firming up, and what does he do? He finds an entirely different gear. He birdies 16, he birdies 17.
And then he steps onto the 18th tee knowing he has to make something happen.
Exactly. Hits a wedge to 17 feet and sinks the putt to force a playoff.
The biomechanical consistency required to execute 4 consecutive birdies to close out a tournament, including that first playoff hole, is what separates the elite from the merely great.
Yeah, you have to imagine his heart rate was probably north of 130 beats per minute.
Oh, absolutely. That $1.78 million share of the $9.9 million purse wasn't just won with a putter. It was won through thousands of hours of neurological conditioning.
Wow. And on the flip side of that elation, you really have to feel for Ben Griffin. He was agonizingly close to joining Ben Hogan as the only player to win back-to-back at Colonial.
Yeah, that historical weight is heavy, but the drama wasn't isolated to the PGA Tour.
No, it wasn't. Over on the LPGA Tour at the ShopRite Classic, Celine Boutier erased a 4-shot deficit on Sunday.
3 crucial birdies right around the turn to shoot a 5 under 66.
That's her 7th career LPGA title. It's just incredible.
Boutier's performance really highlights the incredible depth of talent on the women's tour right now. Erasing a 4-shot deficit on a Sunday requires highly aggressive course management.
Taking those calculated risks on approach shots.
Exactly, and capitalizing on par 5s. She fundamentally altered the momentum of the entire tournament in just a 3-hole stretch.
And the global reach of the game was just as electric. On the DP World Tour, we saw a 23-year-old Kota Kaneko chip in on the par 3 17th to win the Austrian Open.
Pocketing over 400,000 euros for that one?
Yeah. Meanwhile, at Livy Golf Korea, Joaquin Niemann secured his first Live E title of the season by beating Taylor Gooch in a playoff.
Which is interesting because the landscape in which these global events are happening is highly transitional.
How so?
Well, the Sport Business Global Golf Report details that professional golf is still operating amid unresolved negotiations between the PGA Tour and Livy Golf.
Right, the ongoing divide.
Exactly. The report impartially maps out how this divide is shifting media rights dynamics and forcing a complete rethinking of corporate sponsorship strategies. Both tours are experimenting with evolving broadcast formats and operating with massive prize purses to capture audience share.
Henley took home nearly $2 million for 4 days of elite play. The sheer volume of global prize money awarded in a single weekend, it forces you to wonder something fundamental.
Where the money is coming from.
Yeah, because golf isn't a massive stadium sport selling 80,000 tickets a night like American football or global soccer.
Yeah.
With all these millions on the line, where is this massive influx of cash actually coming from week in and week out?
To understand the origin of that capital, we have to pull back the lens and look at the macroeconomics of the sport.
Let's do it.
The 2026 LIPG Golf Investment Report provides the underlying math here. We are looking at a sport that has structurally transformed.
Okay.
Total participation now exceeds 48 million people. That is a 50% increase over the past decade.
Wait, pause for a second. A 50% increase in 10 years. A decade ago, the prevailing narrative was that golf was stagnating.
Yeah, people were saying it was too slow, too expensive, and fundamentally incompatible with modern attention spans.
Right, so what changed?
The narrative was completely upended by a massive imbalance in supply and demand. Following the 2008 financial crisis, the industry saw nearly 2 decades of net course closures.
Oh, because real estate developers plowed under underperforming courses to build subdivisions, right?
Exactly. So when demand violently spiked over the last few years, that new audience flooded into a constrained supply of facilities.
Which drives up the price.
Yes. The LAPG report tracks a metric called golf revenue per available round, or GREV-PAR.
That sounds exactly like RevPAR in the hotel industry.
Yeah.
Revenue per available room.
It is the exact same economic principle applied to a T-sheet. GREVPAR is up 10% year over year,
Wow.
and course utilization has crossed the 70% threshold for the first time since tracking began.
Because you can't just build a new 18-hole championship course overnight to meet demand.
Right, so the existing facilities have acquired incredible pricing power. They are maximizing revenue not just on green fees, but on food, beverage, and merchandise per player.
But if we look closely at those 48 million people, it's not just the same traditional country club demographic playing twice as many rounds, is it? The faces on the driving range look entirely different today.
Oh, the demographic shift is the true engine of this growth. The LIPG report points out that over 8 million women and girls are now playing on-course golf.
Which is what, a 46% increase since 2019 alone?
Correct. Furthermore, people of color now represent 26% of on-course golfers. The intimidation factor that used to gatekeep the sport has significantly eroded.
And the big money sees those shifting demographics clearly. Institutional capital is pouring into the sport.
Yeah, private equity firms and commercial real estate investors who used to buy up shopping malls and office parks are now acquiring local golf courses.
The report highlights Bain Capital's billion-dollar acquisition of Concert Golf Partners. $1 billion.
It's a staggering amount of money.
And then you have these new big boy courses popping up, those ultra-exclusive private clubs with initiation fees ranging from $300,000 to $1 million.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean?
Well, it means
Because if I'm looking at this like the tech stock boom of the 90s, is this just a post-pandemic bubble waiting to pop? Or is this structural? Is there a concrete foundation here?
the foundation is concrete because the industry completely redesigned its feeder system.
The feeder system.
Yeah. Historically, if you wanted to learn golf, you had to buy a set of clubs, wear a collared shirt, and nervously hack your way around a local municipal course while people behind you yelled to hurry up.
We've all been there. It's
Yeah.
terrifying.
Right. But today, the entry point is fundamentally different, driven by the technological revolution happening off the course.
Yes, the LIPG and Sport Business reports heavily emphasize this off-course explosion. We are talking about simulators, top tracer driving ranges where you hit balls at digital targets, and hybrid entertainment venues.
Of course, participation hit 37.9 million people in 2025.
That's huge. That means there are now more people engaging with golf off the course than on traditional green grass.
And those 37.9 million people provide the structural floor for the industry's growth. Millions of Americans are being introduced to the mechanics of a golf swing with a drink in their hand.
In a climate-controlled bay, listening to music.
Exactly. They might not be playing 18 holes on a Saturday morning yet, but it builds brand affinity. They are buying apparel, consuming golf media, and slowly transitioning into on-course players.
The media aspect is massive, too. You have YouTube creators like Good Golf and TikTok influencers driving enormous youth engagement.
They post a fast-paced 20-minute match, it's relatable, they are laughing at bad shots, and suddenly a 15-year-old wants to go to the driving range.
We are even seeing this merge directly with the professional ranks. Look at TGL. Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy's tech-enabled pro league.
TGL is a fascinating case study in merging tradition with technology.
Because you have elite PGA Tour professionals playing inside a massive dome.
Right, hitting into a screen the size of an IMAX theater.
With a physical green that literally shifts its topography using hydraulic actuators to recreate different putting slopes.
It offers a data-rich broadcast designed specifically for a younger, digitally native audience that prefers faster pacing.
I have to challenge this, though. If you are a traditional weekend golfer listening to this, you might be getting a little worried.
Sure.
You hear about massive digital screens, shifting floors, and virtual leagues, and you might think these simulators are going to replace the real thing. Is this off-course technology cannibalizing the sport?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the data points to the exact opposite effect.
Really?
Yeah, it is a symbiotic relationship, not a parasitic one. Consider the frost belt.
Those regions where traditional courses historically had to board up their windows and lay off staff for 4 months during the winter.
Exactly. By converting underutilized clubhouse space into state-of-the-art simulator bays, those course owners are expanding the base, not displacing it.
Oh, I see.
They extend the operating season and create predictable, annuity-like cash flows year-round.
So private equity likes it because the revenue doesn't stop when it snows. The technology actually saves the traditional local course by stabilizing its finances.
Precisely. It allows green grass facilities to retain staff, invest in better agronomy during the summer, and keep members engaged in January.
That makes perfect sense. But technology isn't just changing where we play. It is actively changing the physical mechanics of exactly how the human body hits a golf ball.
Yes, bridging the gap from macro technology to the micromechanics of the swing.
Right, we're moving into the biomechanical revolution. The 2026 PGA Show lineup from Smart2 Move gives us a direct look at the forefront of this movement.
What's fascinating here is that coaching has moved from just recording a swing on a smartphone to measuring the invisible forces a player pushes into the turf.
The central focus among elite coaches right now is the mainstream adoption of dual force plate technology and the measurement of ground reaction forces, or GRF.
Let's break down what ground reaction forces and dual force plates actually are for the listener.
Yeah, please do. Because for decades, getting a golf lesson meant a pro watching your swing, maybe drawing a yellow line on a screen to check your club path. It was all visual. Now you're saying they're measuring invisible forces.
We have moved entirely beyond the visual plane and into the kinetic. Dual force plates look like two ordinary bathroom scales embedded in the floor of a hitting bay.
One for your lead foot and one for your trail foot.
Exactly, but they contain highly sensitive sensors that measure the exact amount of pressure and directional force a player is pushing into the turf throughout the microscopic fractions of a second during a swing.
So it relies on Isaac Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
That's exactly it.
Here's where it gets really interesting. When you talk about pushing into the ground to generate power, my mind instantly goes to a 100-meter sprinter exploding out of the starting blocks.
That is the perfect analogy.
Because the sprinter's power doesn't come from wildly swinging their arms.
Yeah.
The forward velocity is generated entirely by their feet driving backward and downward into the track.
The harder and more efficiently a golfer pushes into the ground, the more kinetic energy the ground pushes back up into their body.
And that energy travels up the kinetic chain.
Right, from the feet, through the knees, into the pelvis, up the torso, down the arms, and finally out into the club head.
The speaker lineup tackling this at the PGA Show is heavy hitting. You have Greg Rose from the Titleist Performance Institute running a session specifically on identifying power leaks.
A power leak occurs when that sequence you just mentioned is broken.
Like if a player sways their hips laterally during the backswing instead of rotating?
Exactly. The kinetic energy dissipates. Greg Rose uses force plate data to pinpoint exactly where in the sequence the energy is bleeding out before the club even meets the ball.
Wow. And then you have Michael Dutro, who the industry calls the force plate guy, and he's presenting on translating that raw GRF data into actual club delivery.
Because generating all that kinetic energy doesn't matter if the club face is wide open when it hits the ball.
Right.
Dutro focuses on the three specific directions of ground force. You have horizontal, torsional, and vertical.
Horizontal force is your lateral weight shift, right?
Yes, and torsional force is how you use the ground to clear your hips and rotate. Vertical force is the upward push, almost like a jumping motion, right before impact.
And James Leitz is also presenting on how these forces perfectly interrelate with 3D motion capture.
Yes, mapping how a player's skeletal structure handles those forces.
I understand how this benefits elite athletes. I mean, this sounds great for Russell Henley or Joaquin Niemann.
Sure.
Maximizing vertical ground force translates to an extra 10 yards of carry, which could mean the difference between a 7-iron and a wedge into a firm 18th green. But how does the everyday listener apply elite power principles?
Like a weekend warrior who might have tight hamstrings and a desk job.
Yeah, exactly. Without injuring themselves.
That specific concern is addressed in a session by Jason Zubak and Justin James at the PGA Show.
Heavily influenced by the research of biomechanics expert Professor Young-Hoo Kwan, right?
Exactly. Adapting championship power for the amateur golfer is not about forcing a 50-year-old accountant to contort their spine like a 22-year-old tour pro. It is about efficiency.
So it's about finding their specific optimal movement, not a generic ideal.
Exactly. When an amateur understands their force plate data, they can stop fighting their own body.
because a lot of amateur golfers try to generate speed entirely with their upper body.
which feels exhausting and leads to injury. By learning how to sequence their weight shift correctly, by initiating the downswing with their lower body and using the ground as leverage, an amateur can actually swing with less perceived physical effort.
While generating significantly higher club head speed.
Exactly. It is optimization tailored to their unique skeletal and muscular capabilities.
So if we step back and look at the whole picture today, we are witnessing an entirely new era for the sport.
We really are.
Professional golf is seeing unprecedented financial investment and eye-watering tournament purses. And this top-level drama is underpinned by a structural boom in the business of golf, driven by a new feeder system of off-course technology and shifting demographics.
And down on the individual level, a biomechanical revolution is fundamentally altering how players are coached and how the human body interacts with the earth to hit a golf ball.
It's incredible.
We are firmly in a golden age of golf science and economics, and it leaves us with a fascinating question to ponder for the future.
What's that?
As artificial intelligence begins to optimize everything from commercial course management to agronomy, and as dual force plates map every microscopic shift in human kinematics, will the perfect golf swing eventually become a standardized, robotic mathematical equation taught to everyone?
Or will this advanced technology ultimately prove what many great coaches have long suspected, that the most powerful, efficient swing is the one uniquely calculated and customized for your specific body?
That's the million-dollar question.
Wenn euch dieser Podcast gefallen hat, würden wir uns sehr über ein Abonnement unseres Kanals freuen. Damit unterstützt ihr uns dabei, weiterhin hochwertige Inhalte rund um Golf, Biomechanik, Kinematik, Ground Reaction Forces, Coaching und moderne Golftechnologie zu produzieren. Habt ihr Themen, Fragen oder Ideen, die wir in einem zukünftigen Podcast behandeln sollen, dann schreibt uns gerne. Wir recherchieren eure Vorschläge und erstellen Podcasts zu den Themen, die euch am meisten interessieren. Vielen Dank fürs Zuhören und bis zur nächsten Folge.